regretted she had. Only a moment. It would take only a moment, and no longer, wouldn't it? Where was the harm? With an impish grin to herself, Brygida picked a flower off the vine and pinched hard enough to break through the smooth petal. Slowly, she pulled on the end of the flower and guided all the delicious nectar to collect in a droplet at the end. Her mouth watered as she brought it to her lips and savored the sweet treat on her tongue. She helped herself to a few more, and only stopped to leave some for the hummingbirds. With no one but her mothers to talk to, these simple pleasures had been the rays of sunshine in her day-to-day life. As a little girl, she'd spent hours with Mamusha at these shrubs, laughing and playing and suckling the honey-sweet nectar of these flowers. But around the Feast of the Mother, when all of Charnobzeg celebrated, Mamusha always became uncharacteristically sullen, no matter the forced smiles she wore. Brygida gathered some of the flowers, just enough, and tucked them into her apron. She would be 17 tomorrow on the autumnal equinox, and considering Mamusha never spoke of Brygida's father, there was little doubt as to why her demeanor darkened at this time every year. Something had happened to him, or to her, or perhaps to them both, but it had to have been a long time ago, for there wasn't a single memory Brygida had of him. Perhaps these herbs were for Mamusha. An elegant water distilled from the blooms made an effective remedy for nervous headaches, and with enough to see her through this moon, at least she'd have an easier time of it. The honeyed high-noon sunlight had long faded, and she had to return to the cottage before dark. Little time remained, so she needed to hurry. Deeper into the wood, the myrtle shrubs, caterfoil, and wild currant sprawled through the undergrowth, with the caterfoil's black crow's eye berries abundant, poisonous as the worst of snakes. Everyone avoided touching them or the black currant for fear of mistaking the two, but she was a Murok witch on her witchlands. Every bit of this place was home to her, and its secrets spoke to her. She plucked the black currant as she passed, the tartness cutting the sugary honeysuckle nectar in her mouth. A hedgehog greeted her shyly among the ferns, and as she followed carefully around him, a ladybug landed on her hand. It was late in the year to see one, but it was always a merry meeting. Tiny fairies glowed not far away, flitting and fussing amongst the rare prickly gooseberry shrubs. Perhaps there would have been a fruit or two left if she hadn't picked this one clean days ago. With an apologetic wince, she approached with currant berries in her outstretched hand. In a flurry, the fairies flew in, each group gathering a single berry together. Let it never be said family didn't help each other. They dug in, and hopefully all was forgiven about the gooseberries. The wood had slept well for as long as she could remember. Its manifestations were dreams, and not nightmares, as the Murok grimoire warned, and Holy Mokosa willing. It would so remain. Quiet, undisturbed dreaming. Fairies, too, thrived in a healthy wood but feared the village folk, who feared them as much in turn. At the slightest proximity, they'd hide, just as she did. But no villagers wandered the wood, especially not when there was a harvest wreath to be crafted, a last sheaf of grain to be gathered, preparations for tomorrow's feast to be made. If there was but a moment in Charnobzeg tonight to take a breath, even Great Mother Mokosa herself would topple her loom in surprise. The ram's thorn yet awaited, another poisonous plant and odorous to be sure. Mamusha sometimes used it to make a marshy green pigment for writing in her grimoire. Past a cloud of ephemeral dream ghosts, Brygida moved toward the lake, the group of fairies flying alongside her as they usually did when it was just her, Mama, or Mamusha. Not far from the shore, the fairies chimed in tune around Brygida's shoulders, but a familiar song gave her pause, one the village girls sang when no suitors approached their fathers. And beneath their chime was her own voice. She'd been singing it to herself. My fall has not yet arrived. Silliness. Her fall would never arrive, as every Murok witch well knew. Witches never married. There would never be anyone for her, and nothing but the wood. She loved her home, so she would have to make peace with it. The village was too dangerous anyway, and as Mama had said many times, didn't want her there. Please don't stop on my account, a masculine voice offered.